This podcast is rated S for spoilers. Listener discretion is advised. Don't forget to view our spoiler-free companion video on our Half Past Podcast channel on YouTube. Welcome to the Half Past Podcast. This is episode 33, the movie review of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. We will also be discussing the Captain America Civil War trailer. I'm Graham Ricks, and here with me is my friend and co-pilot, Ian Jones.
All right, Battle of the Orphans.
That's exactly what's going on. Oh, wait a minute, we got somebody else here.
What's going on, fellas?
Hey, Mark.
That
Hey,
voice
guys.
you're hearing is Mark Levy, good friend.
I'm glad to be here again.
Awesome. Yeah, we
Yep.
had you for the Creed, and so we brought you back for this one. You are a DC enthusiast this time around.
Yes, I am.
All right. So let's go ahead and start with something that's Marvel, though.
Well, just before that, real quick, I have to apologize to you, G, because
Okay.
last week things went completely off the rail with Brothers Grimsby. And
yeah.
It's usually your job to rein me in. So I feel like I did not do a good job at all with reining you in over that. But you wanted to see 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes, I wanted
And
to do
I really
that
didn't want to see that movie.
Yeah.
But it was so much better and it was so good. And I was like, oh, I've got to apologize.
Well,
Gee.
at least you apologize, because I really didn't want to see Brothers Grimsby.
Okay, well,
And
that's
he made that very well known.
Yep.
All right, I accept your apology.
All right, good.
Don't let it happen again.
Nice. Okay, don't film me again.
Okay, so the trailer for this week is Captain America Civil War. Now, I don't have much to say about this. I just think it looks freaking awesome and I want to see it. That's all I got. I don't have anything else. I want more of this. Let's do it.
The one thing that jumped out, especially because of the episode that we're reviewing this on, is a month apart, essentially. We've got another Good Guys versus Good Guys movie.
Yep.
But this one, even though there's way more characters and the issues are, what they're going to be for the movie, you can still tell even from the trailer there's moments of levity and comedy that are built in. It's not going to be somber as the trailers for Batman v Superman certainly made it seem.
Yes. That is
as Marvel
very true.
is apt to do.
Yep.
So very excited for it.
What about you, Jones?
Well, I like that Tony Stark gave Spider-Man a mask that he can express himself in.
Nice.
That's something they've
Yeah.
never been able to do, and that's sort of a cheat that they do in the comic books.
Yeah, it
So
is.
I really like that. I know maybe some people are on the fence over that, but it makes a lot of sense to me.
I guess the only other thing I have to say about this is the guy they got to play Black Panther, I believe, is the same guy from Gods of Egypt. Do you remember that guy, the really intelligent one? I think
Really?
I think that's him.
I never saw that one, so I don't know.
Isn't he? He
Yeah,
kind of
right?
gave off a certain vibe to me. I won't
Yes.
talk about it, but are you sure that's the same? I mean, we all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
very effeminate.
Okay. Oh, there
Yes.
we go. Okay.
And that's all I can say.
Actor. All right.
I think it's the same guy, but maybe that's just him being a brilliant actor. But I mean, it doesn't really show in Gods of Egypt. That movie's so terrible. That's all I have to say about it.
Okay.
Anything else for anybody, or are we going to get right into Batman v
I
Superman?
think we can get right into it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, so let's just take a quick break, and we'll get right into it. After the partial destruction of Metropolis, Batman prepares himself to take on Superman while Lex Luthor creates a new threat. This movie is directed by good old Zack Snyder, who's probably best known for The 300, The Watchmen, and that Sucker Punch movie. Did everybody watch Sucker Punch?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's one of those movies where the idea of it I could get behind, but the execution was not good.
Nope.
Yeah. Starring Ben Affleck as the new Bruce Wayne Batman. And he was also in Pearl Harbor, Daredevil, and Paycheck.
Ooh.
I thought he did okay, and that's all I'll say. Henry Cavill is Clark Kent Superman, obviously. Count of Monte Cristo, Immortals, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which was a great movie.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people watched The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
That was really good.
If you haven't seen it, go ahead and give it a watch. It's got a lot of Guy Ritchie charm to it, and it is a really fun movie to watch. Amy Adams is Lois. She was in Catch Me If You Can, Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, and Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian.
Ooh. Where are you coming up? God, she's been in so many. I love how you pick some really random ones, 'cause she's been in like a ton of stuff.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
The way I choose these movies is purposely random so that I don't take anything from my co-hosts. Right? You're supposed to chime in if you need to.
Well, here's the thing, though. I would have said Talladega Nights.
I know, right?
That would have. So you took the one thing I would have.
So I took the one thing that you said about it.
So great.
See, usually I'm better at that. Usually a movie I know that you like, I try to avoid.
All right.
Because then you'd probably say.
Oh, damn you! Damn you, then.
Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor. He was in Zombieland, The Social Network, in 30 Minutes or Less. Diane Lane is Martha Kent. She was in The Outsiders, A Perfect Storm, and Inside Out as Riley's mom. So she's basically doing nothing but mom roles now.
That's a special age to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately in Hollywood. Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. Okay, so Lawrence Fishburne has been around for a very long time, and so I'm just going to go ahead and say Boys in the Hood, The Matrix Trilogy, and he was the narrator in TMNT. And I just want to say TMNT.
You know what?
So,
he's Morpheus, though. I mean, is he ever anything but that? Like,
ever since that
like
movie, he's always been
character.
Morpheus.
Right.
Jeremy Irons as Alfred. He was obviously Scar in Lion King, Die Hard with the Vengeance, and The Man in the Iron Mask.
I didn't realize he was Scar. Huh.
Yes.
What?
How did you not? How do you not recognize that voice?
I wasn't paying attention when I was that young.
He has a very distinct voice. Holly Hunter is Senator Finch. She was in Raising Arizona, Crash, the 90s Crash from 96.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody's watched that movie, but if you want to watch a really weird movie, watch that one. Crash from 1996. And of course, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which is one of my favorite movies that George Clooney's in.
I dig at George Clooney, though. Is really what that's about.
Well,
isn't she in Raising Arizona?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I remember loving that movie. I haven't seen it in forever, though.
She was in that. Gal Gadot is Diana Prince, or Wonder Woman. She's in the Fast and Furious movies, like a lot of them. And Night and Day, and of course she's a model. Now that we're all done with the characters, let's just go ahead and get into the nitty gritty here. Get into the quirks and likes section. So we'll take a brief break and then we'll get into that. Alright, now for our quirks and likes section here. We'll start with my quirks as usual. So, the first thing I want to say is a very overall opinion of the movie. I think it's a little long, honestly. There's definitely parts in it I think that should be cut out, and I just thought the length it probably could have been about 15 minutes shorter. One of the things I thought they probably should have limited or cut, which is another one of my quirks, is the dream sequences are kind of tossed in and are kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Like all they do is serve to prove there is a bigger world that's being built.
Yes.
But we're not going to tell you pretty much anything useful about it. We're just going to show you a brief moment of the Flash with a mustache.
Yes.
That's not a good look.
No.
But and this, like you said, it could have been cut down, and the director's cut's 30 minutes longer.
Oh, jeez, are you kidding me?
I think what would have helped what I think would have helped is rather than spend all those moments like the nightmare sequence and the files in Lex's computer to establish, hey, just so you know, let's shoehorn in some stuff about a bigger universe. I would rather they kept it the same length, but dedicated that amount of time to building the story they're trying to show.
That would have been a better choice.
There obviously is a story, but so much time was not spent on it.
Yes.
So that's my thing. I think rather than shorter, just put the right things in those moments.
Yeah, and with the sequence with the Flash, I'm curious because he kept saying, well, I'm too early. So is this going to come back up in a later movie or something? Is that what's going to happen? What's going on here?
I assume this is going to be something by the time it's the proper Justice League movie.
Yeah.
I'd imagine then.
Yeah.
Because the Flash in the comics, he does his time travel-y bits.
Yeah.
So, he's trying to send up some message that clearly, other than saying Lois is the key, then he starts playing the pronoun game. We don't know who the he is.
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm assuming we'll see that pop up later.
That's my assumption. And the way they tossed it into this movie, I don't think it helps the movie out at all. It just confuses it and extends the length, which I think is just a bad decision.
And I mean, really, some of that could have been, the thing that is really weirdly missing from this is the post-credits scene.
Yeah.
I mean, why isn't that flashback and then Batman going to his computer or something, looking at those files after the credits? Because that really would have been cool to stick around for.
That would have been an interesting way of dealing with that scene.
So, yeah, I'm definitely on the same page with you guys there with these dream scenes and talking to dead people.
Yeah, it's
sequences.
Really weird. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, reminds me, I don't have this written down because I forgot, but you just reminded me that Kevin Costner's in this freaking movie.
Oh, I thought we were going to get
You popped into my head as soon as that happened.
I didn't say Kevin Costner.
I don't care.
Intentionally.
Kevin Costner is dead. And there's that scene where he's talking to him, and I could have avoided Kevin Costner in this movie, but apparently they needed to add this stupid sequence in with Kevin Costner.
Look, Graham, this is a comic book movie, and in the comics, nobody stays dead.
Whatever. I can't stand Kevin Costner.
Since they were clearly going to 86 him anyway, I think sorry, skipping ahead. I think in the comic books, he's talking. He has a conversation with his dad. His dad is like dying at the same time, if I remember that correctly.
I don't want to see any more Kevin Costner in these movies.
I'm sure that's it. I'm sure that's the last of them.
Yeah, it better be. The other things I have on here is there is a lot of Batman using guns in this movie.
All right, so there's my first quirk that we all knew was going to get brought up.
Yeah, it's like...
I didn't even bother writing that one down. But yeah, it's a little concerning, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, he actually
takes out... The death toll is massive.
The what?
The death toll by Batman is massive.
Oh, yeah. He kills a lot of people in this movie.
Not collateral damage, with bullets.
Yeah, with bullets. It's such a weird thing seeing Batman take out so many people with firearms. You're just like, what the heck is going on here?
And here's my question. In a movie where they're clearly trying to set up world building... Yeah, they throw in that moment at the end. Batman's like, well, I failed him in life. I won't fail him in death.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe his behavior is going to change.
Maybe.
But in a world where that was how Batman behaved, how do you still have a Joker or any other villain still be alive?
I have no idea.
He would murder everyone that would go to Arkham.
Right. Well, and I agree. I agree with you there. But I think the Joker's the reason why this has gotten as bad as it
Which
has.
is possible.
So is Suicide Squad a movie that's after this point in time or before this point in time?
We have no idea.
hope it's not before, because that's gonna really start screwing things up. But I know Batman's supposed to make an appearance in that movie.
Yeah,
he's
we'll have to
definitely
see.
in one shot at least, where he's
Yes.
chasing
Right.
him down.
Yep.
So we'll see. But that was the first thing that jumped in my mind. Is like, if that's what you've been up till now. Whoever spray painted Robin's costumes dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well,
I just thought.
My theory is that was Robin.
Yeah,
That's what they did.
No, I know, but
I definitely remember that theory. I just thought that the only thing I can say is there's a lot of talk about good men changing throughout the movie, and the only thing I can think of is maybe he wasn't like that before and something happened, like Ian's saying, and now he's this way. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, because he is definitely just murdering people and branding people and doing just really just kind of weird stuff that Batman, from what I know, don't really do.
But if you took, now, all I'll say about Affleck, the murdering and the whatever, that's story driven.
Yeah.
He as Batman, I freaking liked a lot.
Yeah, he does a good job. I think he does an okay job. He's one of the better ones.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the closest, the Batman that I like is the 90s cartoon version. And I think that this is probably, that's what we grew up watching.
Yeah, that's what we all grew up watching.
This is probably the closest, that's, he's not really Bruce Wayne. He's really, Batman the entire time, even during the daytime.
But he showed moments of being Bruce, not Batman.
Yeah,
he was doing detective work,
right,
which was severely absent from the Christian Bale trilogy.
Yep.
So they at least were showing a more all-encompassing Batman. What was really different was Alfred was more like buddy partner, not butler.
Right.
Yes, that was different.
Like a mechanic.
Right.
Like a Tony Stark version of Alfred.
He's Jarvis.
Pretty much. Okay, I guess I had a couple more things here. I think we have to have a discussion about Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Nothing against Jesse Eisenberg, because clearly this was the type of Lex Luthor they wanted to portray. I thought his performance of the character was fine, but it's just not the Lex Luthor you are used to, that's for sure.
I'm just never going to get the Lex I want on screen. Ever.
Is it the Smallville Lex?
No, it's the animated Lex.
Okay, alright.
The Clancy Brown businessman who's so corrupt yet so good at it you can never pin anything on him kind of guy.
Yep, that's the one that I want to see. And
not Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
It's such an awkward Lex Luthor, and like I said, his performance of it is fine. He conveys that character fine. That version of Lex. It's just not the Lex you want. It's like this is a very different Lex Luthor.
And now I can't eat Jolly Ranchers anymore.
That's the real problem. Because you saw him put that
why?
Rancher in that dude's mouth, which probably wasn't even written in the damn script.
Probably not.
Did that.
Oh, it's terrible.
So yeah, Lex Luthor was a really big problem for me. He's kind of like the little thing behind the scenes that's driving all this, but he's already figured out who Batman is.
Yep.
And you figure maybe he's got the resources to do that, but that doesn't get explained.
No.
He's pulling all these strings and sending Bruce Wayne back these stupid little messages scribbled out like he is the Joker. It just didn't.
Yeah.
To me, in a movie where those two guys are fighting it out, there could have been a much more fundamental way to get them to do that without him pushing one or the other.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because that was actually my last quirk. I'm trying to figure out exactly why Lex is trying to use Batman to take out Superman, and I just don't understand the point of doing it that way.
It doesn't get explained. And
No, and then it kind of makes me it kind of makes me upset because it seems like Batman is dumber than he should be, right?
Dumber
So
than he should be.
that kind of bothers me also because Bruce Wayne Batman is highly intelligent. So it's weird that he's basically tricked by Lex Luthor to try to take out Superman, which is just such a weird
Wasn't there a line though in the beginning though from Alfred saying like he's something along the lines of being blinded by rage?
Yeah, he
and
did.
That's what's going to turn him bad.
He did say that. So maybe that's a part of the build-up, and I think that's probably why we get such a kind of a bizarro version of Batman. It's like it's not quite the one you want, but it sort of is.
Right.
But that's all of my quirks. So what do you guys got?
I didn't really buy that Batman went the entire movie convinced that Superman needed to die, and then really because Lois got involved and explained to him that they both have the same name, that their mothers both have the same name, that's the reason why they're friends all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I had a real problem with that because I thought Batman's thinking was probably right on the money. I mean, how he's going about doing everything is really questionable for Batman, which I think says where he is mentally going into that fight. But it just seems weird that they hug it out there because he just doesn't seem like a hug it out kind of guy.
Did anyone else get that flashback from the movie Step Brothers? Yeah. Your mother's name Martha? My mother? Did we just become best friends?
That's exactly what happens in the movie. And it is a weird scene. You're just like, oh, okay, I guess that's how we're doing it.
I don't know like the psychology of it, but it could be along the lines essentially where Lois essentially just forced into Batman's face like he's got a mother. She humanized him, and all of a sudden, it's like naming your food before you kill it. Like, oh no, I can't do it now.
Okay, that is a good point. I suppose. Okay, all right.
But nonetheless, you've got 2.5 hours of build up, and all of a sudden it's like,
should it be that easy to make Doomsday? It just seems like that was much easier than making a cake.
Nice.
So I don't know.
That is pretty dangerous.
Like it just seems to me like they could have just done that accidentally.
Yeah.
Right? Someone could have just gone into there and
accidentally cut themselves.
I don't know that. Yeah.
That just whole segment, I don't think had to be in the movie. I don't know what your closing would have been, the direction they were going, but what the heck?
Well, if it's
let's just combine 2 DNAs and make this thing.
Yeah,
and obviously kill Superman in that movie. Like that's obviously where they were going the moment that character pops up.
Yes.
Plus the logic that why Lex is so anti-Superman. Is it because he's Superman? Is it because he's Kryptonian? Because if that's the reason, how do you think genetically creating a new one is remotely going to assist you in your goals?
Yeah.
What's the thought process?
And how do you stop that guy after?
Yep.
Or is he, under my assumption, a little under Darkseid's control, and that's why he's a blathering idiot when he's in jail? That's what's making him act so quirky.
Yeah, well,
that something's invading his dreams.
Maybe that would explain why you're getting such a weird character out of him.
But it would be nice if anyone actually explained something to us.
Yeah.
like I'm guessing because I've got a little more back knowledge from the comics. But if I don't, I'm so confused.
But that's really the difference between this movie and the Avengers too.
Yes.
Like they set that up with Loki. You know that obviously they're all getting played, even in Avengers 2.
Yeah.
You kind of get that feeling because it's been set up already. This is the next issue I have is sort of a problem in these kind of movies in general, and that's when the damsel gets involved. This happens all the time, and I don't get it, because really she should have been killed during that fight or at some point. But she gets in a helicopter and finds them instantly, which I don't get either. It's a huge city. Like, I mean, shouldn't she have showed up, like, after? It just would have taken forever to get there. And helicopters aren't that reliable anyway when there's...
Well, she was just flying towards the bat signal. The fact that they were there.
By the time she found them, they were in an entirely different building, duking it and, like, slugging away.
I have a question.
I'm thinking of even the wrong part. I'm thinking of the Doomsday part. You're right. She got there when it was just them.
I do have a question about... this is probably geared towards Mark, but... Like, LexCorp is in Metropolis, right?
Yeah, these cities are not supposed to be this close together.
So I was wondering, is it literally... Because in the movie, it's conveyed as if they're, like, across the bay. And I'm like... That's really close. It's not that close, is it?
No, in the comics, there's a different city across the bay from Gotham. But I think, like, we were discussing it at work one day. I don't remember who I was discussing with, like, where are all these fictional cities supposed to be? Because in DC Comics, there is, like, normal cities, and then there's a whole bunch of made-up ones.
Yeah.
And so we pulled up, I don't know if this is official or anything, we pull up, and Metropolis is, like, your equivalent of New York City.
Yeah.
And... Gotham would be somewhere like in Jersey. Like, you're close geographically and all that, but there's some difference between.
I was curious about that because it just seemed like his cities were really close, and I wasn't aware that they were that close.
Right. The character Nightwing, when Robin grows up?
Yep.
So when he grows up and he wants to be independent, he goes to a city called Bloodhaven, which is like the twin city of Gotham. That's not far, but it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
So if you've already, not that I think the movies are going there, but if you want to set up that city, you can't have another harbor with Metropolis right there.
No, you couldn't do that. Oh, that's great. All right, Joes, you got any more quirks over there?
In the middle of the battle, stopping to save Lois and having a moment together, and Superman, like, totally letting Batman and Wonder Woman take on Doomsday, like, seemed like it was going on for a very long time. And I sat there and I was like, just skip to the funeral and give him the stupid black suit. I swear to God, if they put Superman in a black suit, oh man, he is not supposed to be in that. It is red and blue. I do not want to see him in that damn black suit. Please, Mark, jump in here.
There's no way they're retelling that part of the story the same way.
Okay, yes, man. Right, but still, doesn't it seem like he's going to show up in a black
But we can bring Shaquille O'Neal back and make the Superboy.
I'm grinding my teeth over here. I do not want to see 4 Supermen or whatever.
No. The reign of the Superman.
Black suit Superman. No.
But can we get the mullet at least?
All right. Great.
The last thing I'm going to say is, how many times can Batman hit a giant tire with a sledgehammer before he's strong enough to injure the Man of Steel? That whole training doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, yeah, that was an interesting training sequence. I feel like you probably should have had a lot more scenes of looking at his face, his emotional state, as opposed to the training, Rocky style training montage. It should have been more like, I am really ticked off and I'm going to take him out, as opposed to, I'm training to beat Superman. Because, let's face it, not really the case. And you have a whole suit to do. Yes, so you really didn't need to gain any more muscle.
Gas.
Yes.
So, but I mean, I guess the thing about that is, and this goes back to something we said at the very beginning, is, to me, that almost seems like they're making the case that, hey, let's do some movies with Ben Affleck on his own, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
So, All right, that's it for me as far as quirks. How about you, Mark?
Well, we definitely hit on, murdering Batman and Lex's behavior.
Yeah.
And I already mentioned Flash's mustache. and I don't know how we're gonna fit his man bun in one of those superhero helmets.
Well, why? The other thing that's weird is he has like what looks like a metallic helmet that like comes down.
Well,
Yeah, it looked more armor at that point.
it
I don't
looked like
think
more
that's what we'll
armor.
see him in. When we get a regular movie with Flash not time traveling, I think he might look
is it
a little
do
different.
you think
Hopefully.
it's the Barry Allen one or the other one? What?
I think he's Barry Allen.
Okay, all right.
The interesting thing is, though, as a comparison, it's just security camera footage that we see him doing his Flash business in a convenience store.
Yeah.
But we've got Quicksilver from two different Marvel movies. We've got Quicksilver in X-Men. We've got Quicksilver in Avengers
Yeah.
2. We've got Flash in this movie, and we've got Flash from the Flash TV show on CW.
Yeah.
Who I think pull off Flash special effects incredibly. So it was interesting to see how 4 speedsters all have very, very different interpretations of
Yes.
how their effects should be shown on screen.
They
So I
do.
look forward to seeing more clearly where they're going, because this guy generates a freaking lightning storm,
Yeah.
apparently, well after he's done running.
Yep.
So I'm curious. He's definitely one of my favorites for DC. I've always had a thing. I found it really odd that they killed off Mercy, the
Okay.
stick figure that was always following Lex around,
Yeah.
who was from I forget the actress's name, but I know she was from the Wolverine origin sequel, or the Wolverine.
The Wolverine. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, she looked just like Bones walking around.
Yeah, she did.
Like, I know she's tall and very lean, but she looked way too skinny in this movie. But in the comics, Mercy is like Lex's right-hand person, and he just killed her off
That's weird.
in the bombing. And I figure they've kind of established it's going to be a while before we have a movie where Lex might be main villain.
Yeah.
So they probably don't need Mercy, but it just seemed odd to even establish her at that point then.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, that covered most of my quirks.
Okay. All right. So let's get into the likes. So the first thing I want to say is that I always enjoy Zack Snyder's directing ability when it comes to dynamic shooting. And so there's a lot of that in this movie, and that's one of the things that's really positive. One of my favorite scenes is actually the opening sequence is like really well done, and just doing the quick once over of how we all know how Batman loses his parents. But that sequence I thought was just a really cool sequence. And one of the shots in particular I really enjoyed is while he's at the funeral and he's running away, there's that scene where it starts looking at him straight on and the camera comes up and the world turns upside down. And so I kind of like that because that's what's happening to him. His world's being turned upside down because everything is just completely going to be different for him. And I thought that was just a really cool way to convey that.
Did you recognize the 2 actors playing his parents?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. His mother was Laura Cohen Graham, Maggie from The Walking Dead.
Yep.
Oh, really?
And his father is about to be on The Walking Dead.
Huh.
Richard Dean Morgan from Supernatural.
And 300 as the comedian.
Yep.
Wow, I did not recognize them at all.
And I kind of like that scene because you almost get a different version. You know, we've seen that scene
multiple times,
but
Yes.
you almost get a different version of them where he's like trying to act.
Yes,
he
he
isn't
is.
just getting like he's like trying to save his family.
Yes.
And I thought, what a cool little take on that, because we usually don't see it that way.
No, usually they just gun down.
Right, yeah.
But he's clearly he puts his hand back by Bruce and he makes a fist, and he's trying to save his family.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just a really cool way to convey that opening sequence. I just think was really good. I thought that was just really well done in this movie. The other thing I want to say is I have to say that, and I think we discussed this earlier, that this Batman is probably closer to what we would want our Batman to be. He was doing detective work, which is absent from like all of the movies except this one. And it's amazing how we don't see that very often, because that is a very strong part of his character as being a detective. And the fact that he was doing stuff like that was great. We could go ahead and say the costume was good because it was actually, the two-tone black and gray thing, which was also really nice. The only part that's weird is just the frequent murdering and the guns.
Well, and the branding, right?
And the branding.
So I'll at least just hold out hope that if he has turned over a new leaf by the end of the movie, that we're going to get the one we really want, who doesn't murder people from now on.
Yeah, which would be awesome. I would really love if that happened, because this one I think is the closest to the Batman we all love, which is, the animated series version. And I would really like to get more of that. So that was pretty cool. The only other thing I have to say about the likes, and we can get into you guys, is I thought the action sequences were just real fun. The ones that when the action does happen, it's awesome. And that's a lot of Zack Snyder type stuff. He did a lot of dynamic shots, a lot of cool things were happening, and that's all I got for the likes.
Yeah, I actually thought that the fight, the actual, the build up leading up to, and the actual fight between Superman and Batman was really good. They were beating the hell out of each other, and it seemed like there wasn't really any, it seemed like there wasn't any, like, misunderstanding between them.
Yes.
Like they obviously didn't like each other, but there is a little wrinkle because Superman needs his help. I really enjoyed this version of Batman. I can't even, this is the kind of Batman I'd want to see. He's older and he's losing his cool, and that's because he's lost an awful lot. And you don't really see that until Batman Beyond, where he is like old and all alone.
Yeah.
So that being said, I think kind of my favorite part was seeing Wonder Woman kick ass.
Yeah. She was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought her performance as Wonder Woman and the battle sequence was it was perfect. She looked great in the role. Her acting was flawless as far as, like, she seemed to be enjoying the fact that she was in battle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she was. And that's like a really awesome thing with her. I love when she finally gets knocked back and she goes for her sword. She has this like blissful smile on her face. It's like, this is where I want to be at right now.
Yeah.
It was so awesome.
What I was thinking of is because we went out to dinner with some friends after, so they had seen it the night before and we were discussing it. But what I'm realizing now after that conversation is it feels like, okay, she hasn't been Wonder Woman since the early 1900s, World War I or whatever, where at least based off the photo they show. And so she's like, all right, I gotta hide this for whatever reason, the world of man, blah, blah, blah. I can't be this. Yeah. And so it's like you're quitting smoking, and it's always stuck in your head. I want one, I want one, I want one. I want to go back to what I was doing. And so she seems like she's getting off the airplane, like very hesitant to step back into the role. But once she does, she's like, yeah.
It's freaking great.
This is awesome.
I definitely agree. It makes me want to see a lot more Wonder Woman because I like what they did with her.
Right.
And to her, well, other than Suicide Squad, the standalone Wonder Woman's next, I think.
Oh, that's great. That gets me really excited about the way that she's conveyed in this movie. Gets me really excited about the standalone.
Have you seen anything for that movie yet?
No, nothing.
Just
what about you?
Production stills with Chris.
Yeah, because it's a period piece. We're going back, telling like an origin story.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you guys recognize Chris Pine in that photo, right? Standing next to her, because they kept showing him. The guy who's right to her right is Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing that concerns
Steve Trevor, I think.
About it.
But you're not a fan of
I like him, but he's really overexposed. It's like he's Captain Kirk now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never going to be Captain Kirk, but, well, this summer we're also seeing him as Captain Kirk, and then he's standing right next to Wonder Woman in a movie that's set in 1918 or whatever you guys were saying.
Yeah.
Right. I think historically it was always supposed to be World War II is when she comes. I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember when the character was invented, but I think it's World War II was the war she normally comes and fights in. Looks like they're just changing it and going to World War One.
That's it for me as far as likes, you guys. I think we covered my stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So what about Mark?
Yeah, you've all sort of covered it. The Wonder Woman being, the one new aspect beyond, Batman being closer to where I'm hoping it's going. It's Zack Snyder. We know the movie's going to look good, and we know the action scenes are going to play out well. Yes. It's all that stuff in between.
Yeah.
And I am, being a comics fan, I am glad and excited that there's more coming. This movie is going to make a lot of money, and whether people love it or hate it, those other movies are gonna come.
Yes.
We're going to get different directors' takes on things. It's not. I know a lot of the world building is all being set up for Zack Snyder to essentially establish.
Yeah.
I don't know how many other creative minds are a part of this process, but like Marvel movies, there's different directors and all sorts of different stuff contributing to it, but there's a larger global picture. So I'm just excited at the possibilities. Once we're past this whole argument, is DC trying to catch up to Marvel, and that's why they're rushing it at this point. I think once we're past that, and they're each kind of doing their own thing, hopefully we win. As audience,
right?
More than anything else.
Yes.
That
is a good point.
See, I'm definitely a Marvel guy, so when Mark said something like, hopefully we win,
I went the same
that's
way.
A very good point he just made, so I'm sorry I stepped over that.
No, not at all. I am not one is greater than the other. There's so many characters I love on both ends. I like that the movies make me care about, if we're talking Marvel, they make me care about characters I've never given 2 seconds notice to, other than, sure, I know who Ant-Man is, but I'm not buying Ant-Man.
I'm still not going to buy Marvel.
Nice.
So, just because, and I went through years and years where I was mainly reading Marvel, and then years and years where it was mainly DC, and now I just want to read what's good. And that's the same in the movies. Put your best foot forward, and I don't care who's in it. Hopefully I'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And the one thing to throw in here is, for those that maybe don't know as much about the DC characters, the world of DC, they may not have as strong as an edge in the movies as Marvel does right now, as far as fan base and let's be honest, quality of movie at this point. If people turn to the animated DC universe, the standalone movies that they put out, that they average 70, 80 minutes each, some are on Netflix or different streaming services. I know I own them all and keep lending them out to people at work. Holy crap, does DC do an amazing job on their direct-to-DVD movie.
That is a very good point, and you've let me borrow some of them, and they do a very good job with the direct-to-DVD stuff. Marvels are terrible. They're awful.
There's some good stuff in between, but yeah, I mean, the animated Wonder Woman movie where it tells her whole origin, and then there's some of them are just adaptations and stories that are just for that movie. Other things are like, you can go watch the 2-part Dark Knight Returns and see a different take on the Batman Superman fight that this movie clearly was taken from. But it does it really faithfully and it does it really well. They're just absolutely worth the time, especially for those people listening that maybe just want to know more about what DC's about. So that's my
I would say too that DC has 2 shows that are amazing, and Mark touched on one. The Flash is outstanding, and boy is Arrow good. Arrow is really good.
I still haven't watched either, so
I almost don't even want to see other actors as those characters.
Nice.
I know it doesn't work because it's Zack Snyder or whatever, but
yeah.
I've watched so many superhero shows on TV, all 10 years of Smallville, which I enjoyed, but had big ups and downs.
Yeah.
But, and then I've watched Gotham, Arrow, and there's all these reluctant heroes, and they go through misery, but, they swore an oath kind of thing. And they're going to do what they got to do. And Superman, or on Smallville, is like, it wasn't all based off misery, but a lot of miserable things that happened. He was always hesitant to be who he is. But then you watch The Flash, and there's moments of genuine joy in their lives. And they're doing, the superhero thing. And sure, there's bad things that happen, but that's like the first superhero show where, holy crap, does he love being The Flash.
Yeah. All right. I'll definitely give it a watch one of these days, but I just have not been watching it.
I'm going to make you watch it. Speaking of, has anyone seen any of season 2 of Daredevil?
No, I haven't seen any of it yet.
I haven't started it yet.
Oh man, John Bernthal, man.
Nah,
as the
I gotta watch it.
Oh, I wish if I saw him, I wish I could high five him. Good on you.
Nice.
Sticking this character, he's really good, and they've tried a lot of times to get the Punisher right.
Yes,
they've got him.
Yeah, so he's the best Punisher yet, huh?
He's outstanding.
Sorry, Dolph Lundgren.
Sorry, Dolph.
All right. I'm going to do the host thing and cut it right now. We're running really long. And so let's go ahead and rate this movie so that we can end this podcast. Okay. So my rating is, regardless of what I just said about it, we're running long. I got a short little story. Okay, so I saw Batman vs. Superman, and I wanted to rate this one as a rent it. And then I came home, and Superman 3 was on TV with Richard Pryor. And after watching that one, I'm like, you know what? Just go ahead and see Batman vs. Superman. If you go back and look at some of those old ones, it's like, oh my god.
Even if you go back to Superman 1, there's a giant plot hole in Superman 1 that no one ever talks about, and it drives me nuts. So
I mean, Superman 3 is really bad. Like, I saw just the ending of it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just terrible. And so it bumped my rating up for this one. So I'm just gonna say it's fun. It's got some great Zack Snyder-esque cinematography. The story's a little messy, but I'm just borderline see it.
All right. I'm going to say the story is a mess, and I didn't even get there. I didn't even talk about that because there's so much going on in it. But I'm going to say for Wonder Woman alone, just because of her performance and how much she kicks butt, and because I like this version of Batman, I'm going to say go see it if you enjoy superhero movies. I think it's worth it to see the costumes.
And I'm going to follow up also with definitely see it. As long as Zack Snyder's still directing, you will benefit from seeing this on the big screen.
Yep.
There's more coming. So rather than playing catch up later, enjoy it, take the good for what it is, and just wait for the next thing to to hopefully make your retrospective like it even more.
All right.
Nice.
All right. If anybody wants to contact us, our website is halfpastpodcast.com.
Like us on Facebook.
Rate us on iTunes.
We're on Stitcher and Libsyn.
I always love that delay you have when I say that. It's like you're not ready.
I always think it's longer than that.
Email us at halfpastcast@gmail.com. That's halfpastcast@gmail.com. Let us know you're listening.
You know what it is? I'm waiting for you to say parentheses Graham. Okay, tweet us at halfpastpodcast.
Oh, thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. We have our first person movie, Hardcore
right.
Henry, coming up in 2 weeks. That'll be our next one. So we'll be able to see hopefully a fun kick butt movie, and hopefully that first person perspective doesn't just drive you nuts
And make you throw up. Don't eat a lot before seeing that one. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Thanks for having me as always, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, and hopefully we'll get you on again sometime.
Maybe
Absolutely.
another superhero movie.
Yeah,
There's plenty on the way.
Yep. All right.
This is the Half Past Podcast. I'm Graham Ricks.
Jonesy.
See you next flick.